Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we've got a video for you that answers a very common question that came up in the comments section of one of our other videos. And we answered it in the comments section, but it's one of those pieces of lore or gossip, or I'm not quite sure what the right term is for it, but it's one of those things where the erroneous answer is out there and it's a common misconception. This is one that I certainly believed for most of my life. My father told it to me, and it made sense, and so it's pretty prevalent out there. So the question is the Battleship Arizona still in commission? If she is in commission, that means that she is the last active battleship in the world, and not the Battleship Missouri when she was decommissioned in 1992. And the short answer of this question is no. Arizona is not in commission, although that is a commonly held belief. The longer answer: Arizona still has Navy sailors assigned. They drive the small boats that take visitors from the National Park Service Visitor Center there in Pearl Harbor to the actual Arizona Memorial. And those sailors continue to raise and lower the flags and perform ceremonies on the memorial over the wreck of Arizona. So that's one of the reasons why, or some of the reasons why, people think they're still in commission. There's even a common saying out there that the Battleship Arizona is the only ship in the Navy with water-cooled handrails. Now, some of the reasons against this is the Navy is in the process of building a new submarine named Arizona. So they cannot have two ships on the active register with the same name. It has happened in the past, and older ships have been renamed. However, no name change has happened for the Battleship Arizona. Now, here are the actual dates involved. As everyone knows, Arizona was one of a half a dozen or so ships sunk during the attack on Pearl Harbor, and one of many that was severely damaged there. That happened on December 7th, 1941. On December 29th, 1941, the Navy went through, and for administrative purposes, they decommissioned all of the sunk and severely damaged ships and put them into what is known as ordinary, which is a common tradition that goes all the way back to sailing ships, where a vessel that is in for major repairs or in mothballs is taken out of commission and she is in ordinary. The crew is paid off, as they say in the Royal Navy, up until she is finished her reconstruction and put back into service. So, battleships like the Utah, which was a gunnery training ship, formerly a battleship, Oklahoma, West Virginia, California, that were all sunk during the attack, including Arizona, were decommissioned and placed in ordinary within a month of the attack. Some of these ships, California, West Virginia, would be raised and returned to service, and they would be recommissioned in 1943 and 1944 when they returned to service. Some of these ships, like Oklahoma, would be raised and then declared a total loss and stricken from the register entirely, and then disposed of for scrapping or whatever else the case may be. In Oklahoma's case, she never made it to be scrapped. She sunk while under tow to the scrapyard, but that was her final fate. Utah was left in place. They tried to salvage her and were unable to, but they were able to drag her out to free the berth she was moored in, and so they just declared her a total loss and a war grave and left her in place. Arizona's story is similar to that. Arizona was inspected, and on December 1st, 1942, about a year after the attack on Pearl Harbor, she was stricken from the Naval Registry. This means that she is completely off the list at that point. She is no longer an active vessel. She's no longer an inactive vessel. She is considered, she is one step away from being fully disposed of, but she will never return to service. The inspection found that the bow of the ship, forward of turret number 1 here, was more or less separated from the back 4/5 of the ship, and that act of separation had caused many of the decks here to collapse, which is why you get the forward tripod superstructure leaning forward in the iconic images of the wreck, such as this one right here. Superstructure was removed as low as they could get, basically down to the waterline, which would facilitate future actions, whether that is raising, strapping in place, returning to service, whatever the case may be. And the gun turrets were removed, at least for the after 2 mounts, and they were placed in shore batteries to guard Oahu. The forward gun turrets were left in place, but the barrels were removed and used as spare barrels for Nevada, which had the same caliber of guns. So Arizona's guns did get to fire at the end of the war on Japanese positions, just not installed on Arizona. It wasn't until May 30th, 1962, that Arizona was officially disposed of. And in this case, the method of disposal was to turn her into a dedicated memorial. And that is when Elvis Presley went out and raised a ton of money, and they were able to build the famous, iconic white memorial over the ship, which sways down in the middle to show the high points at the beginning and end of the war and the extreme low points in the middle. It also includes the list of all 1,177 sailors and Marines who perished when the ship was lost. Where I believe this misconception starts is 1950, when the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, Admiral Arthur Radford, ordered that the flag would be raised and lowered over the Arizona. This is pre the memorial, but there was still a platform with a mast there, every day at morning and evening colors. And so there are sailors who are assigned to go and do this, and I'm fairly certain that that's where a lot of the misconception comes from for when this ship was decommissioned. Now, just to compare Arizona and her declaration of a total loss to some of the other battleships, I've already mentioned West Virginia, California. Some severely damaged vessels were determined to be new enough that they were restored even though they had taken catastrophic damage. Utah, which was extremely old, wasn't decommissioned until September 5th, 1944, and at which point they had tried to raise her and failed, and then about a month later, in October 13th of 44, she was completely stricken from the register and also dedicated as a war grave. Because they were never able to raise her, they were never able to recover something like 66 bodies still on board. On Arizona, I said there were 1,177 who died on board. Off the top of my head, something like 900 of them are still interred. Other sailors who survived the attack have since requested to be interred with their shipmates, and the Park Service divers have returned their cremains to the wreck. Sailors who served on Arizona prior to the attack on Pearl Harbor, who have since passed, have been able to request that their ashes be scattered on the water above the wreck. Something like 19 individuals have been reinterred with the ship since this tradition started. And with something like less than 24 survivors of the attack from Arizona still out there, odds are it may never happen again. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope this dispels some questions you have about the status of the Battleship Arizona and what is the last commissioned battleship ever built. How did you hear about Arizona still being commissioned? Like I said earlier, my father told me. Let us know in the discussion how you heard. If you would like to see part of Arizona, and it's easier for you to get here to the East Coast than it is to get out to the memorial, the museum does have some pieces which were recovered from the wreck, which we put on display. Come out and visit us. If you'd like to support the museum and our YouTube channel in particular, check the link in the description for our GoFundMe page. Anything you donate there goes directly into our YouTube channel. The museum receives operational support from the New Jersey Department of State. Anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. We put out new content like this several times a week, and if you want to be notified, make sure you click all those buttons.